Hey folks, Leave here once again. Welcome back to another review. Hope y'all enjoyed my review of Justice League RB or RWBY or Ruby Superheroes and Husband Part 1 again. I don't like that title. That's a mouthful of a title. It's on my YouTube channel shirt again. And again, guys, you're welcome to share my channel as well. Thank you for the 310 subs. Keep on subscribing, guys. I got more videos coming. I'm not quitting YouTube, guys. Just remember, I don't do videos sometimes. I got off work today a little early because we got finished early, around 8. So, yeah. I'll try to do reviews as much as I can on certain days. That's what I try to do. Um, but like I said, you can share my channel with your friends, family. You can also share it on your Facebook page, story, your Facebook story, your Instagram, whatever. I do appreciate the support, guys. Remember, when you subscribe to my channel, guys, anybody that's in my channel, make sure to click the little bell. You get notified when I do community posts or when I upload a video like this. But guys, what we're doing on my channel here is a superhero marathon. I have to do what I call the 2020 era of superhero reviews. These are superhero movies that came out in this decade we're living in now, 2020s, 2020 to 2025 for now. And this film, and I've been on the year 2023. This film came out in May. This is the 32nd. This is a Marvel film, an MCU movie, the 32nd film in the MCU, and the third film in this trilogy, a sequel to the 2014 movie and the 2017 film. Yeah, of course, these characters were Infinity War and Endgame. And now this is taking place after that. That is the Marvel superhero film, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the third film, and hopefully final installment of the Guardians movie. Now, I know I said this was my least favorite, but after watching this movie, I loved it. I thought it was really good. Um, I probably say no, I still like the second movie more. To me, the first one is the best one, in my opinion, but I enjoy all the Guardians movies. I don't have a least favorite, but if I had to rank them, it wouldn't be much of a ranking, but it was best to, you know, if I had to rank them, it would be the first movie, second film, and then this. But I think they're all good. I enjoy all of them. But this film does have problems. It's not a perfect movie. I do have my issues with it. But despite this, it was a lot better than Justice League RBY. And I thought this was a lot better. Speaking of Marvel, I did think it was a lot better than Thor: Love and Thunder. It was better than Black Widow. Black Widow and Thor: Love and Thunder. So far, MCU movies that I've hated with those two. I like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, but I probably like this more than Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That was good too. You know, but I did enjoy this movie despite the problems. I thought this was a satisfying ending. Not completely satisfying, but good enough of an ending for the Guardians. I don't think you really need any more movies after this. I like their new suits in the movie. I do think they look cool. That's just me. I do miss Star Lord's jacket and stuff, but hey, I'm fine with it. Sometimes in a franchise, they get new clothes, and I was okay with it. We already knew that was going to happen from the trailers. But anyway, let me get into it. Since we're going to talk about the movie itself. It is the fourth highest grossing film of 2023. Just want to say it. So, development for the film. Guardians of the Galaxy writer and director James Gunn said in November 2014 that in having to have the basic story for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 while working on the first film, he also had ideas for a potential third film. Despite this, he was unsure of June 2015 if he would be involved with the third Guardians film, saying that it depends on how he felt after making Volume 2. In April 2016, his Marvel president Kevin Feige, the producer of the Guardian film, said that a third film was planned for the franchise as part of the MCU in 2020 and beyond. In March 2017, Gunn said there will be a third film for sure. We're trying to figure it out, soon adding that there were no specific plans for the film yet, but that Marvel would want to make it unless something goes horribly, which is always possible, you never know. He also retreated that he had not decided whether he would be directing the film, that he was going to figure out his involvement in the next project over the next couple of weeks. Part of Gunn's reluctant to return to the franchise for not wanting to work on it without Michael Rooker. Although, spoiler alert, he does have a cameo in this movie. Because his character, spoiler alert, like I said, and spoiler, Yondu dies in the second movie, in the climax of that movie, by saving Star Lord. Gunn announced in April 2017 that he would return to write and direct Guardians 3. He said the film would be set after Infinity War and Endgame, which it does take place afterward, and would conclude the story of the Guardians and help catalog both all the new Marvel characters into the next 10 years and beyond. He also felt that the three Guardians films would work together as a whole, telling one story. The third film, trying a lot of stuff together. For the first two and giving a lot of answers on a lot of different things. Gunn also planned to work with Marvel on the future of the Marvel Cosmic Universe. He was set to begin on Volume 3 after completing his work as editor producer on Constant. This was before DC and stuff, Infinity War. Returning for the third film, Gunn said, I wouldn't have said yes if it was clearly the idea of what we're going to do. I'm the guy that's just going to do it if I don't have a vision for it. They included Adam Warlock in the film, treatment for that character. Gunn emphasized the importance of the character on the comic side and hinted that he would make an appearance in Volume 3. In May 2017, at the release of Volume 2, Gunn said he would be creating a third film over the next 3 years. Confirming that Palm Clinton, who was Fire Rose Mantis, I can't say her name, never can, I'm sorry. He also intended to bring Elizabeth Debus to Fire Rose Asia. Gunn had completed the first draft of the script treatment for the third film, just changing a piece of character info, placing the background of the most in the first film. Gunn said that Gordon City will be released in under 3 years. The film had previously been set for May 1st, 2020, but it could have been due to COVID. At the end, though, the first 2019, Gunn planned to meet with Mark Hamill appearing in the film. Chris Pratt would, of course, reprise his role as Peter Quill, so Dave Bautista will come back as well. On July 20th, they fired James Gunn, while Disney and Marvel severed ties with Gunn. This came after comments such as Mike Konechny began circulating that he had made regarding topics such as rape and fertility call for firing. Walt Disney was chairman. The offensive attitudes and statements discovered on James' Twitter fed with our studio's values, and we have observed our business relationship with him. While not part of the decision to fire Gunn, Bob Iger supported the decision from the various executives at Marvel and Walt Disney Studios. In response, Gunn said that in a series of tweets, he started his career, he was making movies and telling jokes that he was outrageous and taboo, but felt as he was developed as a person. Maybe he was just joking about it, or maybe they took it too far. I don't know, folks. Not saying I'm better, but I'm very different than I was a few years ago. I root my work in love, connection, and less in anger. My days saying something just because it's shocking, trying to get reaction are over. Gunn said the tweets at the time were failed and unfortunate efforts to be provocative. In response to the firing, many of the Guardians cast members tweeted support for Gunn. Rooker decided to leave Twitter. Fans signed in on a petition for Gunn to return. Below they did. Fire also garnered reaction from other Hollywood personalities such as actress Samuel Blair, who was in the Hellboy movies, and Bobcat Goldthwait, and pinned a piece on firing how it affected Hollywood. At least some people defended Gunn. On July 30th, the cast of the Guardians of the Galaxy films, including Zoe Saldana, Bradley Cooper, Vin Diesel, Sean Gunn, his brother, and Kieran Gillen issued a statement in support of James Gunn, saying, "We fully support James Gunn. We were shocked by his firing last week, so it seems like they weren't going to do the movie. They waited the 10 days to respond in order to thank, pray, and listen and discuss. That time, though, they did encouraged by the outpouring of the fans and members of the media who wished to see James as director of Volume 3, which I'm glad we did. He did direct the first two movies. Wanted to see him direct and finish this movie. You know, that Disney was not planning to rehire him as the jokes were unacceptable with Disney family friendly imagine. Yeah, y'all say Disney family imagine, but nowadays you have a woke imagine of adding gay characters kissing and stuff. Yeah. Speaking of pedophilia, it seems like Disney does that nowadays. But I ain't going to get into that argument. Seems like most of them are pedophiles, I think. But I ain't going to get into that argument. But most likely hire him somehow. Batista said that he would fulfill his contract and appear in the film as long as Marvel chose to use Gunn's existing script. Disney and Marvel still wanted to move forward quickly on the film. Soon confirmed to be keeping Gunn's script. The Marvel felt that Gunn did not breach his contract since the tweets were written years before he signed into the film. Has signed a complication negotiations between Gunn and Disney over his exit settlement. Gunn was expected to be paid $10 million or more, even if it was to develop and direct another Marvel movie. Gunn will be free to move on to new projects following the settlement. Another major studios was interested in hiring him, including Warner Brothers, for DC. You know, for their rival DC. Which, of course, Superman came out this year. That I don't have no interest in that, but that film was successful. During this time, so far, is making money, skyrocketing, and making money at the box office, from what I hear. And Disney attempted to find a compromise that lead Gunn to return to the film in some way. This 11th-hour effort from Marvel was part of the statements in the film's cast. Gunn met with Horn following a strong push from Gunn's talent. Be given a second chance despite this, it reported civil unprofessional nature of the meeting. He took it at courtesy and used it to Disney's decision to fire Gunn. Later in August, a small crew that was prepared for pre-production was dismissed. Production of the film was postponed to Marvel and Disney could find a director to replace him. Pre-production was beginning at the end of 2018, with filming to begin for January February 2019. Disney was unsure if he would return with the film. He did not know if he would want to work with Disney, given how they handled the firing of Gunn. In late September, James Gunn's brother Sean, who played Cracklin, provided motion capture for Rocket in the pre-production films. We sure that Disney still intends on making the film with James script, but had to never reveal the cast and production may continue. Sean added that he has been preparing to prescribe his role for the third film before his brother's firing. At the end of the month, Cooper was asked if he would consider directing Volume 3 after his A Star Was Born, but said that he would never imagine directing a film that he did not write. James Gunn had completed his exit settlement with Disney. It was to write and of course, the Suicide Squad came out in 2021, which is really good, but having problems with it. Of course, they did rehire Gunn. The day he joined the Suicide Squad in October 2018, he was notified by Horn that he could return as a director for Volume 3. This came after further meetings between studios and Gunn. Horn had changed his mind after being impressed by Gunn's response to the situation. They discussed with his comments to the Suicide Squad, because that film I'm sure was a hit, made money. But he did finish the Suicide Squad in December. But a rumor Marvel Studios on the script for Ant-Man, Adam McKay said he was willing to work with the studio again and said that he discussed taking over as director for Volume 3 and other projects working with Feige. Feige and Pratt retreated and Marvel would take Volume 3. In March 2019, Gunn was probably revealed to have been rehired as director of the film. By the end of April, the franchise's five main stars Brett, Celinda, Cooper, and Diesel were all expected to return for the sequel. The film took place in 2020. Discussing his firing and rehiring in May 2019, Gunn said all the elements of the film that had been sad to leave when he was fired. The most meaningful to him was the character of Rocket. Gunn personally identifies with Rocket, describing himself as the characters as the same. Grown loved the character since working on the first film, due to only the origin story for Rocket could justify what a Bugs Bunny-like goofy character like him could exist in the MCU. The saddest one in the MCU, crediting as a seed of the trilogy. Volume 3 reveals Rocket's backstory through flashbacks, like of Godfather Part 2. I guess he got inspiration from that. I think it shows, Marlon Brando's character in that movie, his past. Gunn intentionally considered telling Rocket's origins and team up move between him and a group with other Guardians. He was eventually convinced to make a third Guardians instead of a Rocket and Groot film, but chose to tell Rocket's story. That month, Gillian confirmed that she would return for a sequel as Nebula. In June, Zoe Saldana was asked about her role in the film after Gamora was killed in Infinity War. She played a younger version of an Endgame who travels through time to the present. This, when she comes back, so that Gamora's fate would depend on the plans that Marvel had done for Volume 3, but that she would like to see Gamora rejoin the Guardians and also be portrayed as the most lethal woman in the galaxy, as she'd been referred to previously. Gunn was asked in October if he was unhappy about Marvel's decision to kill Gamora in Infinity War. He said he was not. He discussed the storyline with the studio beforehand. I was disappointed with that, though. December 2019, Gunn was asked if he would have if he were going to return to the film. He would have the character be resurrected. Gunn felt the stakes of characters' death. Reports said that characters who die in these films will likely remain dead. Gunn said in February 2020, bringing back Yondu back to life would nullify his sacrifice in Volume 2. The character would not return unless it was a prequel or a flashback. Gunn later said that Yondu would not be resurrected in the film because of his death's meaning. In April, Gunn said that COVID-19 would not affect production plans, but it did affect probably the. I guess he worked on Peacemaker, which I still don't really care to see that because I don't like John Cena, but that's just me. The film was given a 2023 release date a month later. The film was set to begin in late 2023. It did, there was a Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. So pre-production was created, the designs and visuals for the film by April 2021. In May, Marvel Studios announced that the film, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast, would be released in May. Later that month, Gunn said Volume 3 would take place at the events of Thor Love and Thunder, which the Guardians were in that, but they were in that terrible movie, yes. But they were in for that movie for like, 15 seconds, 15 minutes at least, not very, very long. With Thor journey, because Thor goes on his journey with him. He never planned to feature Thor in the film, which is okay with me. They don't need to. Thor's become an idiot in that movie. Gunn had begun storyboarding for the film by June. The film began in Atlanta, Georgia. By then, Batista said he's not ready to script for Volume 3. Not sure if he had changed during the production days. The next month, Gunn said that she and Clinton had read the script together. She found it to be incredibly brilliant and emotional and funny. She felt it was Gunn's strongest work with the Guardians characters. Gunn retreated the script and basically stayed the same for 3 years, but he had been playing with it in little ways. He was in the middle of another job at the end of the month, said the film would be emotional and have a heavier story than the previous films. Another option Gunn had in mind for the character would become the film's main villain, and revealed to be the one who created Rocket. But Gunn ultimately chose the High Evolutionary. Gunn originally wrote a cameo appearance for Gamala Nucha as a friend of his, but remembered that learning he was cast as Gingo in Marvel Studios Eternals, which also is another that's better than that movie, by the way. This is still better than Eternals. This film could be a little long with the running time, but Eternals was much longer and boring. Yeah. By late August in Marvel Studios, with actors for the role of Adam Warlock, including Will Butler, auditioned for the role of Resume and screen test with the gun in Atlanta. The character's name until he was drip lifted. Sorry. Comic book history. George McKay had also seen the shortlist. David Cornsent, who auditioned the Aaron Pierre was almost cast in the role. Of course, he was the one that would become Superman in this movie that came out. Gunn found it difficult to integrate the character from the story. While Seth Green, who voices Howard the Duck in the MCU, said the film would be about Gamora and Nebula's story, did not know at the time if Howard would appear in a previous Guardians film. Poulter was cast as Adam Warlock in October, and Gunn said dozens of roles he had already been cast. Filming began in Chevrolet Studios in Atlanta, Georgia on November 8, 2021, under the working title Hot Christmas. Henry Brown served as the cinematographer after doing Volume 2. Filming was previously scheduled to begin in January of 2019. And also, Stallone revealed that he returned as Scar in the film. Chad McOney would be part of the film following his collaboration with Gunn on Peacemaker as the main villain, the High Evolutionary. Production designer Beth McKell said Gunn chose to mainly use practical effects for Volume 3 after they did so with the work on the Suicide Squad. And Stallone also voiced King Shark. And was also in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, by the way. And he also voiced King Shark in the Suicide Squad that came out in 2021. Industrial Light and Magic's visual production technology set they developed for the Disney Plus Star Wars series, so they guess they worked on film 2. The holiday special was filmed at the same time as Volume 3, with the same main cast as sets. Gunn enjoyed being able to switch to filming the special effect after scenes from Volume 3. Shooting was also expected to occur in London, England in late 2021. It's the first MCU to feature the word fuck. Yes, they do say that. It is spoken by Quill. The dialogue "open the fucking door" was not scripted, but improvised by Brown, Gunn's suggestion. I know people will get mad about that, but I thought that was funny. I'll get to that later. Yeah, the post-production of the film. Cosmo was physically betrayed by dog eater Fred in the first two Guardians films. Let's say in the holiday special in Volume 3. The following month, Michael Rosenbaum revealed that he had reprised his role as Matrix from Volume 2 in the film. Linda Cardellini, voices, and Sarah Strong were revealed to be have voiced Lilo in Mainframe. Lila, who is, I forget what the character's an otter, I think, yeah. Voiced by Linda Cardellini, of course, who she worked with James Gunn before, playing Vilma Dinkley in the Scooby-Doo movies, the live-action film Scooby-Doo 2000, the movie from 2002, and Scooby-Doo 2 Monsters Unleashed. While Strong replaced Miley Cyrus, who voiced Mainframe. Yeah. The British version provided for Framestone, Sony Pictures, Digital Light Magic. The music score was done by yeah, John Murphy. Tyler Bates was the composer of the first movie and the second film, but he didn't return. I guess maybe he was busy at the time. Yeah. Let's see. Sorry. Well, apparently, I guess he was working on John Wick 4 at the time. But the movie does have some good songs in there, like Creep, Crazy on You, Since You've Been Gone, that was in the trailer as well, that song. In the meantime, reasons do you realize by the Flaming Lips? I think that's the same people who, One Bad Day, song, Our Bad Day by Flaming Lips from Batman Forever with the Edward Nimmer's apartment scene. We Care a Lot. Covenant No Carnival, which, okay. I'm Always Chasing a Rainbow by Alice Cooper. That was awesome that they added that, so that was a good song. This is the Day. No Sleep Till Brooklyn. Yeah, I love that song. They had some good songs in here. That's what I love about the Guardians movies, though. They all have different soundtracks. You gotta know with the Guardians movie, you're gonna get a good soundtrack from 80s, from 70s, 80s, 90s. Tell Me Get Your Love, they redo that from the first movie. And for the marketing of the movie, yes, the film did get marketing. The marketing was nearly crazy for the film. Yeah, let's see. McDonald's had toys out for the movie. Yeah, McDonald's had toys out for the characters. Yeah, this was a heavily marketed movie. Yeah, they also had a Kings of Wine commercial with Groot in the commercial as well. Yeah, with some of these characters from the movies, including Groot back there. Yeah, yeah. They had Hello Fresh Blast of limited edition with Guardians. I guess it's like a food snack or whatever. They had some cereal boxes with the characters on it. Uh, Cheerios, you had Mantis on that. The Trix cereal, you had Drax on it, and Rocket was on the Reese's Puff cereals. And Cinnamon Toast Crunch was Star Lord. And the Cookie Crisp cereal was, had Neville in it, and this one right here had Groot on it. That was the Lucky Charms. The Lucky Charms. So yeah, I think the film, it might have been just part two. Now it's part two. I was saying the Doritos bags, but the film did have marketing. Yeah. All right, for the cast of the movie, you have a lot of the cast coming back to do the movie. You have the cast. You have Chris Pratt, Peter Star Lord. I mean Peter Quill, Star Lord, the half human, half sent leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Directed by Earth from the Ravagers, Chris Pratt. Yeah, one of the first movies I've seen him in Wanted. I know he's related to Arnold Schwarzenegger now because I think he married to his daughter or whatever. And he was in Delivery Man with Vince Vaughn. Uh, he's been doing these movies since the first Guardians of the Galaxy in the first 2014, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and of course in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame, and this movie. I don't know if he'll be coming back. It said at the end of the movie, spoiler alert, that he'll come back, but I don't know. I know he voiced more in the Super Mario Brothers movie. Unless they're gonna put him in Avengers Doomsday or whatever. Uh, I don't know. Zoe Saldana as Gamora. She's known for who seeks redemption for her past crimes. Zoe Saldana, she was in the first movie, Volume 2, and of course in Infinity War, and of course coming back as the character she was from the first movie. And of course the Avatar movies, which I didn't like her in too much. And she was in the Star Trek movies, or J.J. Abrams from the remakes. I thought she was good as, you know, you know, uh, a horror in that movie. Dave Bautista as Sheriff Destroyer. Now he's done some movies too. He's been in the Guardians and High School Warrior. Yeah. I do think he was in an episode of Smallville, yeah, in season 6, Smallville, playing one of the phantoms that escapes that Clark has to go after. He was in Dune. He's done some other movies as well. Glass, Knock the Cabin, Night Mystery. He was also in Blade Runner 2049. Not a big part in that movie. Karen Gillan has come back as Nebula. She's been doing these movies since the first film, Guardians of the Galaxy in Volume 2, and of course this one in Avengers Infinity War and Endgame. And then she's in those Jumanji movies, which I don't care, but she's a good actress, though. Paul McCallum as Mantis. She's been working on these films since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and of course Avengers Infinity War, and she was in Endgame as well. In this movie, I think she's also in the Mission Impossible movies. Yeah. The new one's coming out pretty soon, so I think she's going to be in that as well. Bradley Cooper as Rocket, from the Guardians, and a former Avenger who's generally injured raccoon based upon her and a master of weapons and tactics, and is a pilot. Bradley Cooper. I remember him as Spaceman in the A-Team remake, the Hangover movies. And of course, he's been voicing Rocket since the first film and second movie, and Avengers Infinity War and Endgame in this movie, of course. Never seen War Dogs, but he's been in quite a bit of movies. Yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder, he does voice Rocket in that as well. Yes, feels like that cast was wasting their time being in that movie anyway. Then you have Vin Diesel as Groot. Sorry, Vin Diesel's been doing these movies since the first film, but just known for like films like XX, action film, not the crappy sequels they made. Well, one was with Ice Cube, State of the Union, and Return of Alexander Cage, which I don't really care to see. I thought that was going to be a shitty sequel anyway, from what I heard it was. But Vin Diesel, if he stopped making Fast and Furious movies, and Bloodshot, he did that film, and that film was from 2020. That film sucked. I reviewed that, by the way, if you want to hear my thoughts on that. Will Poulter, and I think he was also in Saving Private Ryan. Yeah. Will Poulter is a more like powerful being created by the Scaravengers to destroy the Guardians. I thought he was good, but I still had issues with his character in the movie. He was like in Oh, We're the Millers, yeah. Seemed funny in that. Carlos Narnia, he did a voice and he worked in that. Death of a Unicorn. And Sean Gunn is currently a member of the Guardians and Yondu's former second in command, who now controls, the whistle of his arrow. He's been in the role since the first Guardians movie. And of course, Thor: Love and Thunder and Endgame 3. But he's also the brother of James Gunn. He was in films like Pearl Harbor, The Man Who Invented the Moon, before the MCU, and the Suicide Squad as well. Wait a minute, he voiced. Let's see. Sorry, let me look at it real quick. Sorry. Oh, he voiced the Weasel, and he played Calendar Man in that movie. Yeah, and he's also in the new Superman film. Did he play in the new Superman movie? I haven't seen it. Maxwell Lord. Chadwick Hunt as the Hell of a Numismary. The name cyborg scientist, CEO of Unicorn, creating hybrid creatures and rocks creator seeking all living beings. Special race where he has been credited as the Hellspawn, the Sivner, and the basically like God. He basically wants to make the world perfect. You know, he also marketed the movie as his character, the High Evolutionary. At Comic Con in 2022, marketing marketing the film. He was in John Wick Chapter 2. Uh, Linda Carlini as Lilo. Otter, who's in, she was in movies. Linda Carlini was in movies like Daddy's Home 1 and 2, the Scooby Doo movies, Brokeback Mountain. She was in the Scooby Doo movies like 7 2000s, The Founder, Curse of LeBron, which I heard was not good, and Nathan Fillion as Master Khrushchev. Nathan Filler has Nathan Fillion. Sorry. Well, he's worked with DC before. Like I said, he's worked with DC. He's voiced Green Lantern, Al Jordan, Green Lantern, and Green Lantern Number 9, Justice League Doom, Monsters University, voiced Johnny Warrington, Justice League, Flashpoint Paradise, Green Lantern, in the first Guardians movie. He did a voice that for that. Justice League Throne of Atlantis, again voicing Green Lantern. He had the lead, Death of Superman, Reign of Superman, and the Suicide Squad. He was in that too. In Deadpool and Wolverine, he was Wade Wilson Headpool, and of course he's playing Guy Gardner Green Lantern. So he's worked with James Gunn before. Yeah, and like I said, he's voiced Green Lantern in a lot of the DC and Al Jordan, aka Green Lantern, in a lot of DC animated movies. Well, I think he does good at. I can see him as live action as a Green Lantern. I mean, I like Ryan Reynolds in the Green Lantern 2011 movie, but in my opinion, Nathan Fillion I think would. I don't mean Guy Gardner. I mean Al Jordan. I really see him as Al Jordan instead of Guy Gardner, but that's just me. Because he looks like Uncle Fester in that movie from Madam Family Values to me. And then last but not least, well, last, you have Sylvester Stallone as Stargate, a high-ranking Ravager. Stallone's been in a lot of movies like the Rocky, Rambo movie, tons of films, like from the 80s and 70s, early films. Stallone's been in a lot of movies. But mainly people know him for Rocky and Rambo. But Yeah, Michael Rosenbaum, was Matrix. I'm curious to meet Michael Rosenbaum. Probably know him as Lex Luthor. And he also did the voice work for, I think, the voice for one of the robots I heard in the new Superman movie. But you should know him as Lex Luthor in Smallville and voicing the Flash in the Justice League cartoons, 2001 cartoon. And Michael Rooker does have a cameo though. All right. And people, the other crew that worked on the movie, directed by James Gunn. Yeah. So when he started like his career, he started like being a writer for films like Trio and Juliet, the specials, and of course the Scooby Doo movies, live action films from 2002 and 2004. And when he began directing, he was like Slither Super, which I reviewed with Rainn Wilson's a dark comedy superhero film. I like that movie. And the first Guardians movie, of course, he directed in Volume 2 and Volume 3. In the Suicide Squad. Is well, he's gonna be, I think, what, a producer on the new Supergirl movie. Yeah, based on Marvel Comics. Kevin Feige produces the movie. Kevin Feige has been producing these movies since the first Iron Man movie. But he's also worked on many other Marvel movies even before that, like the first X-Men movie, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, The Punisher from 2004, X2, Daredevil, Hulk from 2003, Elektra, X-Men Last Stand, Punisher Warzone, and some Marvel anime movies like Hulk vs. Thor and Wolverine, Thor Tales of Asgard, and The Amazing Spider-Man that he's worked on. Cinematography by Henry Brunneman, who's done cinematography films like Rosen's Grave, Shooting Fish, Crush, Flyboys, The Golden Compass, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Legend of Tarzan, Cinderella from 2021, which I don't really care to see that movie, The Flash, and the Roadhouse remake, and Superman. Edited by Fred Reskin, who did the films like Heart Eight, Chilling and Juliet, Crossroads, Daddy and Them, ah, sorry, The Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, Fast 4, Fast and Furious, or, well, Fast 4, Fast 5, Django Unchained, that he's done editing for, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. Music is by John Murphy, who's done music score for like Leon the Pig Farmer, Darklands, movies I've never seen before, Snatch from 2000, Basic Instinct 2, 28 weeks later, first Kick-Ass film composed with Henry Jackman. Yeah, the Suicide Squad variant, where he was replaced by Charlie Bates, I guess. I mean, sorry, he replaced Charlie Bates. He also composed with Dave Filoni. He composed the new Superman film as well. Production company Marvel Studios. It's shipped by Walt Disney Studio Pictures. It was released May 5th, 2023. In the US, it's 150 minutes long. The film is about 2 hours and 30 minutes. There are two post-credit scenes at the end. So, just as. But the film is over 2 hours and, well, it feels like to me over 2 hours, 30 minutes long. Alright. Let's talk about the story. Give you the plot synopsis. So, again, if you've never seen any of the Guardians films, don't watch this review. If you've not seen, if you haven't seen Infinity War Endgame, don't watch this review. Because there will be spoilers in here. I've already said some spoilers already. Guys, just don't watch my review if you've never seen any of these movies, the Guardians films or Infinity War. Thor: Love and Thunder doesn't matter because they were, like I said, they were briefly in that movie, so don't expect the Guardians in that movie a whole lot. But with the story of the third film, it's like this is like the final installment. They're kind of swan song, if you will. Hopefully, if they don't ever want to make Marvel says let's make another Guardians 4, which I hope don't happen, and I don't want to see Star-Lord return. These characters by the end of this movie, I felt like it was good enough of an ending. You don't need to make any more movies after this. Marvel, you just gotta know when to end it. You know, from what I heard, Marvel movies are not doing so well now, and they keep flopping. You just gotta end it. We've had plenty of good Marvel movies over the years, and you just need to end it. Anyway, the story. Still reeling from the loss of Gamora, Peter Quill, aka Star Lord, and must rally his team, the Guardians of the Galaxy, to defend the universe and protect one of their own, Rocket, who we found out about Rocket's past in here, that he was an experiment on Dawn when he was a very young raccoon. And he was experimented on by the High Evolutionary, who, is a villain in this movie. Well, let's see here, the High Evolutionary, that you see a picture of him right there. who considers himself to be God, and he wants to make the world an imperfect place. He wants to make an utopia that he creates worlds and stuff, but he's mad. He's a psychopath, you know, that has to be stopped. And they're trying to save they're trying to save Groot, who, not Groot, uh, Rocket, who gets hurt with the Guardians in the movie, along with the Gamora from the past to help them, to assist them from the Ravengers to assist them. If the mission is not successful though, it has to lead the team. You know, it could possibly lead the end of the Guardians as we know them. That they're facing the High Evolutionary, they're facing a big threat. So it's up to them to save Rocket and stop the High Evolutionary before he kills millions of more people. There's intending to kill. He's going after Rocket, so they have to go up against him as well. And he's a very powerful villain, very strong villain. So they have to team up along with Gamora, fight him, and they have to stop him, and they have to save the day, and they have to go on a final outing, and to save their friend Rocket, of course. And they basically have to save the day. Pretty much save the universe is what Guardians do. It's like Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what they do. Yeah. Yeah. Also, the High Evolutionary. He's an alien scientist, though, also trying to perfect the universe in his imagine. Basically, considers himself God. Yeah, he's insane. So that's the plot of the movie in a nutshell for you. Just giving you a synopsis what the story's about. So, sorry. Finish my glasses on 158. Okay. Alright, guys, I know we're in 36 minutes. Now I'm going to go ahead and get to the movie itself. Uh, so the film opens up with you seeing Rocket as a child and being locked in a cage, and then this hand coming out toward him, and you figure it out that it's the High Evolutionary. And then you see him listen to Quill's music. Quill, Peter is depressed because of the death of Gamora. He's drinking, he's getting drunk. Yeah, Rocket's walking around. And the Guardians are now settled and, restore the outpost on nowhere. It's like they have a home now, basically, of people that they're trying to protect and look after. It's their new home. It takes place events after that. They still protect the galaxy when they need to, but they have a home. They're basically family now. But Peter, gets drunk a lot. You know, he's telling Rocket, "Get off my music," and he passes out. Nebula has to pick him up. He's like, "Gamora, I love you," and she's like, because he's still having those dreams. And when you talk to him, he's your friend. Then you get up to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And this film, like Avengers Endgame in a way, is an emotional ride. It is funny though, the humor is there as well. And it's like Peter will, when they see Peter passed out, I like it when Drax said, "Again, really?" And she's like, "Rocket, why don't you do somebody?" He's a restaurant. I'm not good at emotional conversations, but maybe you are, Nebula. Yeah. But then at the moment, you have Adam Warlock, who was, working for the Ravengers, or the people that they stole the batteries from. Adam Warlock, Rocket says in music, Adam Warlock, comes up and attacks him, and nearly kills Groot. And he's hard for I mean, attacks him so badly with his power. He's a very strong villain. He's like Superman in a way. He tries to, he tries to kill. Can't really talk. He nearly kills Rocket. You know, the other Guardians try to help out, of course. Of course, waking up from being drunk. Star Lord goes to get his guns. Rocket, not Rocket. God dang it. Groot tries to like attack him or whatever, like go from the tree, but he nearly impales and almost kills Groot. He breaks Mantis's arm, and then he attacks. Successfully attacks. You know, but you find out the High Evolutionaries after him. Star-Lord tries to shoot at him. He almost kills Nebula. Nebula tries to shoot, tries to tell him to stop. But, he punches her like really hard. Nebula, then he fights Drax. You see him in a fight with Drax. Drax puts up a good fight, but Drax like, "What you become some of your own?" and he's just punching Drax really hard, and Nebula doesn't kill him, but stabs enough to stop him. They Guardians find Rocket near death, and they're trying to get this a med pad that can heal him. Mantis is using her arm to heal her arm from being broken, but the med pad's not working. Yeah. Then of course you see Rocket in a flashback meeting Lilo, Teefs, and Floor from Batch 89. He was experimenting on for the first time. And first he's just, it's you can say this film deals with animal cruelty. This film does take a dark direction with that. That's one thing I get because, like with Thor: Love and Thunder, the humor sucks. So maybe James Gunn wanted to go into a bit of a darker territory. I don't think no animals are all these animals CGI, so they're not real. Even though it's questionable. Yeah, I don't like the animal cruelty experimenting on animals and stuff. But Groot. I mean, Rocket, you feel so sorry for. You can see why he didn't talk about his past. He makes friends with Lila, the otter, and Stiffs, who's like a little you call it creature, walrus, and Floor is a rabbit. He's like, it hurts, it hurts. He's like, it's okay, friend, you learn to talk, and just in the cage, talking. But you find out Rocket has a kill switch, which I'm sure have Evolutionary put in him. So they want to get to get override so they can save his life. So they have to go to OrgoCorp, OrgoCorp. That was Rocket's headquarters experiments. Nebula was able to touch him. She's able to use the computer to find out about his past. And I was like, why didn't he tell us about this? He just didn't want to never talk about it. And he's determined to go, and they're determined to save their friend. Which you're really hoping that they do. And of course, they end up running to the Ravagers. They don't kill the Guardians, but Stallone tells them, Gamora's going to help you. Gamora's doing it because she's going to get like 1,000,000 units money in this future, I guess you can say. Of course, she still has attitude. One thing I don't like that, I just wish they could have brought more back to life. I see what James Gunn did. No, it could be not realistic, but again, it's a movie, and again, I maybe accepted it. I couldn't accept it at first, but I did accept that she did die, and you know, future source was like, "Who are you again?" She doesn't remember Quill's name, and I like it when Drax tells Stallone stops them, at Stargate again, coming back from the second movie. Tell them Gamora's going to help you infiltrate them. You're going to find out what you need to know, and you put these suits on. And Drax's like, this is, I can't wear the thing you suits. Like, Stallone's like, what did you say? Stallone's a very intimidating man when he says that though, better than me. It's like it doesn't match the color of my eyes. It's like Stallone's like, put it on, and they do. You know, Adam returns to the evolutionary beside Asia, his mother, but without Rocket. Yeah, and he wants Rocket. I think he wants something for Rocket. Or basically, I just think he wants revenge because Rocket really scratched up his face real bad, and he's out to set revenge on him. Well, Adam Warlock again, but he's like kind of like force powers, if you will. Adam Warlock like attacks like he's like, "You better listen to me, my child." And Ezra, she's like, "Yes, my lord." Because he created their people. He created a lot of universes. Is what he's done. Made it perfect, and to them he's like God, so they have to obey him. He nearly crushes Adam Warlock to death. Yeah, and they have to go on this planet, which again, I do like their suits that they wear. Again, I think this film has great special effects too, as and good makeup as well. Uh, you know, he talks to Gamora, telling the head history of her, like, well, I'm not her, you know, and people can hear him. It's like, it's pathetic. Well, listen, we can hear you, Peter. And with this button, Mantis was like, on them, which I thought was funny. But they're able to break into this Army Corp. Nathan Fillion is there, like I said, with Green Lantern. And then they try to put they in the space launch though. They put the suits there. They're like, man, this you idiot! You don't think she thinks like a little space they can hide in, but it was like this space launch that they're hiding in, so things in space. They were to convince their way to steal this key, Uh, I like it when Drax and what's her name? Drax and Mantis go to this guy, and she's like, "You're totally in love with him," and he starts to like, "Hi, I'm this guy. Come back, man." I thought that was funny. Yeah, you can say it's a little bit gay, weird moment, but it was hilarious. I thought, yeah. And meanwhile with Nebula and you know Star Lord, Peter, they try to talk to this woman, try to get this key. He tries to persuade her, use the Star Lord charm, but Gamora is impatient, uses a gun on her. He's like, "I thought you were a bit of a douche." She's like, "It didn't work." And they're gonna kidnap her, and him and Gamora talk. He's like, "And I was in love with the girl. Yeah, she died. You know, and she just came back a total dick." And he's like, like you're never Nebula." He's like, "Stop looking at my eyes." My father used the way towards her. Well, he picked some pretty eyes. And of course, throughout it though, Groot is like in the ship watching, make sure Groot's okay. He's had flashbacks with Lila, and then they're like the creatures, Lila, Teeth, and along with the Rocket, they name each other. They're also just they become good friends. They party, they dance around. They think they're going to the new world, and you see the how evolutionary, like he's very manipulative too. As he becomes like he's Rocket's friend, trying to teach him about the world and how the world is, how music could be, just things about the how the world can be. And he tells Rocket to the experiments on animals, but they're violent. And he says, "Well, Rocket's like, you got this wrong. You got this wrong. You need to fix this right." He's like, "What?" And this drives him enough crazy. And there are times where I do like the actor who plays Evolutionary, but I swear to goodness, sorry, I'm not gonna say swear to God if you say that, but I shouldn't say that. Sorry, but anyway, that's all I'm saying that. But anyway, Evolutionary, he's always screaming or being over the top. I'm like, you don't need to scream all the time. He's like, P.123, P.123. How did you imperfect it? And he also tells him that he's not gonna take him to the world. He just needs to experiment with them. Then he's gonna kill him afterwards. Anyway, that's what everyone. Yeah. They also established their names, and he's like Rocket, which I liked. And he also promised to take them spaceship to travel. They get the file, but Nathan Fillion and the group, that wear these weird looking suits, like their clayface suits are almost like that's what they look like to me. But there's some good makeup there. The guy that looks like a carrot, which is funny. Gamora's about to shoot him. They're about to get shot. Uh, you know, Drax tries to fight with them. Drax puts up a good fight. He's like, ha ha ha. And they laugh. Nathan Fillion shoots him. Uh, and Mantis does this real cool. She does this awesome, like badass, kind of like Jean Claude Van Damme kick. Look like it to me, but she's a good kick. Yeah, some of the editing is a little awkward at times, but well, I think the editing's good, so moves around a bit with the editing of the action scenes. But she's able to get this guy to, like dance, and she gets one of the guards to, act violently. The Guardians escape, the place blows up. Groot in a bad way is put the ship in there. They escape, they get the pesky, they see what Groot went through, and it is emotional to watch. He never told about his past, and I can see why. So it has no passkey. So they found out. However, though they found out one of the hallucinations recording of Phil that he ran into earlier, a man who has a computer set they need to get at. So they set out to find out Counter Earth, which they do. It's like Earth, but it's like with animals and stuff. You've seen the trailer. Yeah, they try to question one of the people in their Asia, question them there. But Adam Warlock's like, show him how we taught you to voice, and Adam just uses his power beam and destroys the guy. He's like, we wanted to question him, not kill him. Yeah, no, he's like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, you have one of those videos here. And then you have this little cute furry sea animal, but it's cute. He doesn't want to hurt it. No, you know. But Hollow Evolutionary, he starts screaming, he's like, New 5213, how did you know that? Then I say he doesn't want to take them to the new world. Rocket tries to escape with them, but Rocket knows that since the television is insane, he says that him and his friends, uh, Keith and Floor and Lila to come with him. So Rocket's able to make something because he's really smart. He just makes something up, this equipment up, is able to get out of the cage. Instead, Lila says, "It's good to have friends that help each other. You know, good to have friends." But then, pow, you hear a shot, and she dies, and she's like, "Oh, this guy," and Rocket's like, Evolution's like, "Okay, Hero 52, get back in the cage now. I knew you would do something like this. Get back in the cage now, 152." And Rocket's like, just screaming because of that. He's like, how Evolution, let's say he can get on the he's like, where, you gonna cry better too, the crying game, and Rocket just loses it. He calls for backup from assistance, but Rocket just attacks him. Rocket goes crazy, which I don't blame him. He shot his friend. Rocket goes crazy, starts smashing up the hallucinator's face. The guards show up. They shoot his friends though, but they miss him, and he escapes there. And you can say he met Groot a little later in the Guardians eventually. Kind of grew up to be a thief and a pilot, scavenger himself. So, uh, the Guardians argue with Gamora, who doesn't want to go. Is like, "You're talking about going to High Level Visionary. Are y'all crazy?" Because a lot of them, High Level Visionary, some consider him to be God and a man you don't want to mess with. But Charlotte doesn't care. He's going. She's like, "You need me to be this perfect woman that you talk about." Shema said something, but Neville stops her. She's like, "Fine, screw you, screw all of you." And Gamora does something stupid though. She contacts her. I'm like, it's wrong. It's not the Ravager. She contacts Asia with Adam Warlock and gives him a location. Really stupid thing to do, Gamora. Uh, they split. They go into these people's homes, which are like animals kind of people, you know. And one of them throws a ball and the bouncy ball, and as you see from the trailer, which I thought was funny. Drax like, "Hey, stupid," and he hits it with his face, and they start throwing things at them, and when these people start getting involved, throwing things at them, Groot becomes like, "I am a big giant," gets them away. Tells this one lady that looks like a rabbit, not gonna hurt you. They can't understand them, but explains about his friend, and I thought it was funny. Drax like, "I'm gonna lay down on the couch." Drax, get up. Drax, get up. You know, and Mantis is doing blah blah blah. And sorry, and then she's like, Nibbler's like, "That's insane. You acting like that." But eventually these people explain to them what's going on. That's when you get the line, when they go in the car and he's like, push the button, not the keyhole, the button to unlock it. He's like, what I do today is like, get in the, he said, open the fucking door, he says that, which I thought was funny, but was that really needed? But maybe that's James Gunn, giving the middle finger to Disney, which I don't, can blame him after them firing him. Maybe he was just making a joke about that sort of stuff, and nowadays if you say certain things, people will take it too far, take it too literally. I don't know what that situation was. But anyway, back to the movie. So they drive because they're going to meet the High Evolutionary. He tells Drax and Mantis to stay, which of course they don't. Mantis says he tricks Mantis to drive to the ship. He's like, "Drax," So then you get the Alice Cooper song, song because what's her name plays it. Uh, what's her name? Gamora. She's like, "You must be a special friend for them to save you." She plays that, that song by Alice Cooper. They drive and they get the High Evolutionary. They're told Nebula to stay, and Evolutionary's busy and he's like, "We don't need to get violent." And he gives them this speech about the way he wants to make the world a perfect place and all that. He's like, "I've heard it because your mommy didn't love you, now you're insane." He's like, "I don't want to destroy the world. I want to make it perfect." But not wanting to listen, first Guardians want to maybe take out the evolutionary who tricks them, but he like uses force powers on them. Yeah. Gamora realizes that Rocky's about to kidnap by this giant pig, who tries to attack her, but she fights with the pig after going to the restroom. Yeah, Adam Warlock shows up. How they start destroying this counter Earth, kills all of them they created. I guess for having it's punishment for helping the Guardians. And these people die, they get killed, but the Guardians do get out of there. They are able to grab they get what they need. Uh, you know, they grab that guy that has the metal plate and set that they need to save Rocket. They jump like 50 feet in the air or 500 feet in the air, but Rocket's able to fly them, and but the guy dies, but he's able to like cut it out of his brain. With Gamora driving the ship to them, who can't really drive it, but gets them to safety. Safety. Nebula, Nebula, and Mantis and Drax. They're about to get into space, but they get in the hollow ship. High evolutionary ship. They see these children there that don't speak no word of English. You know, Nebula yells at them, but just comes down. She goes, "You're an idiot. You're pathetic." He's like, "He's not that we love him, even though he is stupid." She's like, "You'll forget about it." And he's like, "Hey kids, you know." And they go to save Rocket. Yeah, but they use what they need this item to save him or put this equipment to his heart. And it's like he's about ready to die. He's kind of like in heaven, seeing Lila and apologizing. He's like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't save you." She's like, "It's okay, Rocket. You know, but you can save others. You know, I love you." They kind of hug each other. Like, "It's not your time yet." Goes back home, and this is an emotional scene where he starts crying. Yeah. Hey, Dad, do it. I'm doing my review. Okay. Yeah. Working on it now. Hmm. Sorry, hit my finger. Sorry, my dad was home. Got home from work. Well, from his job, and we went to over to Georgia. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, they save Rocket's life. They start crying, and there's an emotional moment where they're hugging each other. It's emotional, and Gamora's like smiling at it. And then later on, they tell the high evolutionary kidnaps them. Uh, Nebula drags a mantis, kidnaps them out, puts them in a cage. Yeah, get attacked, and he's like, he goes in like, "I was hit back with fresh mine." He's like, and I like him. It says, "You RoboCop, mandatory looking mother effer," and he just hangs up on him. And they're gonna go save their friends, of course. Aisha, Adam Warlock's mother dies. They capture Adam Warlock, kind of got him tied up. Yeah, but Rocket ends up okay. Says that no, is insane. They're gonna go up against him though. The Star Children are also handled. They're but High Evolutionary is like, I admire their peak, their specialty. Begins to attack them. He's like, well, I am God, but I had to replace him. And they sort of, they have a fight with the Guardians. Like James Gunn's brother in the Shogun as a first character, he tells the dog, the dog who, like the little space dog here, Cosmo, and he says, "Bad dog." He's like, "I'm not a bad dog," but she calls a good dog later. Yeah. Mantis controls these monsters that are trying to eat them, makes friends with them. Emerald tries to attack them, but she turns his pet Blurb. He self-destruct. They get out of there safely. They enter the Guardians fend off the High Evolutionary's troops. they jump there, and you get that song, No Sleep Till Brooklyn, and awesome song. And it's an awesome action scene, well shot and well done. Groot, like, uses one of his tree stumps to attack one of them in their mouth. Star-Lord, like, shoots some guy in a badass way. Mantis does some good moves, and Gamora does, they kick some ass, which is very entertaining. And they also free the children. They lead them to nowhere. Rocket revisits his cage, his former cage. He finds out these other raccoons that Evolution has and all these other animals. He starts to rescue them. But Evolution comes over. He's like, "Look at you, the one. I own you. You don't get kill you." He attacks him. Uses like his force powers on him. Rocket shoots him down. He's like, "The name is Rocket, Rocket Raccoon," which I thought was awesome. Yeah. And the Guardians, they come over and they help. They help Rocket. Guardians kick his ass. Moore stabs him, and you find out he's got a mask, and it's like really disturbing for an MCU movie, Marvel movie, or maybe by Disney. They take off his face, blood on it. It's like he's a half Skeletor or something, Skeletor almost from Masters of the Universe. And he's like, and Rocket could kill him for what he's done, but Rocket doesn't for what he's done to him and killing his friends. But Rocket's like, I'm a Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm not going to do it. But you can suggest that, how Sherry dies anyway of his injuries because Gamora did stab him, so I figure he's already dead anyway. Or he gets in prison or nowhere. They get the cage animals and the children out there. They have to. The dog Cosmo has to use her telekinesis abilities to keep the ship together, get the kids through, and all the animals and stuff. One of the people get attacked by the raccoons, get scratched, and also you have, you know, Cosmo who Fredro calls a bad dog at first. He learns how to use the arrow by like you have a cameo by Michael Rooker saying, "Use your heart, boy." Smiling. That's the end of it. Just a quick cameo, and he does. He's almost getting killed by one of the big monsters. About to kill him. These creatures that are about to kill him, but uses his power, defeats him. She puts these two buildings together and crushes them. So that was cool. Yeah. Quill is able to save his zone, save his little CD, music CD, and the Guardians jump out, but Peter gets stuck in space. Groot's like, no, tries to save him. You see that emotion and sadness of losing their friend, but Adam Warlock redeems himself by saving him, by getting his second chance. So he saves them, and him and Gamora, she's like, I'm not your Gamora, but I bet you we were fun. It's like, we were. And he makes peace with Gamora's death. And that Quill has talked with them after they defeat the High Evolutionary, save the animals and the Star Children. Who becomes one of the Guardians, by the way? The little girl does. He's seeking independence. Quill wants to spend more time on Earth. Mantis wants to seek independence. She's like, well, I've done what Eagles always wanted, what Guardians always wanted, but now I want to do what I want to do. She moves on with the creatures. Her and Drax just wave at each other goodbye. Drax and Nebula and Rocket, Groot stick together with the children. They, have a little dance going on, which I like. And Rocket becomes new leader. The new Guardians of the Galaxy are Warlock Blurp and the Star Child. Felicia as new additions as she starts to speak up a little more, speak English. Then on Earth you have Peter, walking to his father's grandfather's house, and he thinks he's got the wrong house, but he realizes it's Jason Quill, it's his grandfather. Sees him, they hug and embrace, and at the end, you get the end credit scene of the new Guardians. Listen to that, "Come Get Your Love." That was played by in the first movie when we saw Star Lord. They play that, and they go to fight these creatures with Rocket, and then you get a post-credit scene of Peter turns to his grandfather, and then Star Lord will return, and Gamora goes back with the Ravager, and I guess you say everybody lives happily ever after, and that's the end of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 30. Yep, that's the end of the film. Before I get to my final thoughts on it, Maybe I can read some quotes, really quick, just real quick. Someday I'm gonna make great machines that fly, and me and my friends are gonna do flying together forever in the beautiful sky. We'll kill anyone who gets in our way. No, we're not gonna kill anyone. A few people, kill no people, kill one guy, kill one stupid guy who no one cares, no one loves. And just making it sad. I bet we were fun, like you wouldn't believe. Friend, I'm sorry. Rocket, I let you down. I got you killed. I got everybody killed. You were right. The sky is beautiful and forever, and I've been flying with our friends. These are the hands that made us, and these are the hands that guided their hands. My beloved raccoon. When they give each other, it's a sad moment. My beloved raccoon. The story has been yours all along. You just didn't know it. You thought you could escape me? No. You think you have some worth in any of yourself without me? No. You're an abomination. Nothing more than a step on my path. You're a freakish little monster. How dare you think you are more a 91P113? The name's Rocket. Rocket Raccoon. Which I thought was a badass line for him to say that. I never had noticed how black your eyes were. They were placed by my father's method of torture. He picked a pretty set. Drax, you were never meant to be a Troy. You were meant to be a dad. Chiefs, Flora, go now. Target. His face came off. It's a mask. Look what you did to me for what? All I wanted to do was make things perfect. You didn't want to make things perfect. You just hated things the way they are. Which is the truth. Why did you save me? I hurt you. I am Groot. He said everyone deserves a second chance. Alright, well, a lot of good dialogue in here, but folks, let me get my final thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Yeah, let's see. For the future of them, another documentary special on Disney Plus. He said that a fourth film could please don't make a fourth film gun. Just leave it be. Just work on your DC films. I'm not interested in Superman. I don't really care about seeing the new Superman film or any of his DC movies. I think he'd be way too busy to make a Guardians movie. Yeah. Plus, the movie did make money though. When it was a $250 million budget, and did make at the box office did make $845.6 million worldwide. Yeah. And a lot of it deemed it to be a satisfying conclusion of the trilogy, which I could agree with. Not completely, but it's good enough, I think. But let me get to that why. Alright, let me get my final opinion. Like I said, the film got it on Blu-ray. There are special features, The Imperfect Family, view the evolution of the Guardians trilogy, creating Rocket Raccoon, gag reel, deleted scenes, all special features you can watch behind the scenes of the movie if you have a Blu-ray. So let me get my final thoughts on this film, guys. I'm getting to it. I'm sorry. Ugh. But Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I love this movie. This was really good. This was satisfying enough. Before I get into my problems, first of all, I like the story. I like that we get Rocket's, you know, for me, this is the Guardian Swan song. And I'm glad that they added, James Gunn wanted Rocket to focus on his backstory. And it's very emotional, it's very sad. You know, the story's really good. It's got some balls, what they got to do in this movie. You know, it's very entertaining to watch. It's fun to watch for a Guardians movie. Now, I do think it is a bit too long. You could have trimmed some stuff out. It didn't need to be 2 hours and 30 minutes long. But I do think it was a very entertaining film. The story was really good. James Gunn did a good job directing and writing. A lot of the music score by John Murphy is good. Cinematography is real nice. The special effects, the visual effects by ILM and some other special effects, people that worked on this movie or other visual effects company that did work on this film, they did a great job. This is almost like the new Star Wars trilogy in a way. For me, it is. Music score is really good though. The running time was decent. The film I thought went about a good pace. I'm not going to kid me. I never fell asleep once. I usually fall asleep sometimes because of work, but this movie came entertaining because I was invested in the story. I was invested in the characters. That's what I love about these movies. You care about these characters, like the emotional scenes with the animals or the emotional scenes with the characters. What really made me cry is almost in this movie. Yes, I'm in almost cry when they're hugging on each other, when Groot, Rocket, and Star Lord are hugging each other because they're about to die. It's a very emotional scene, and yeah, that's the thing. These characters are very well developed, and you care about them. They become like a family. That they're best friends. They're families. They're just a big family. And that's what the heart of the movie is of all the Guardians movies. regardless if you don't like 2 or even 3, this one, if you don't like this one, you can't deny that James Gunn, made the Guardians like family, that they care about each other. And it's an emotional ride when they say goodbye to each other. It's very sad to see them break apart at the end, but they go the different paths. And it's sad to see that, you know, yeah. And I thought the story was well done. The story was good. Rocket's past. The villain I thought was good, but I do think at times he was screaming too over the top as well. The Hell of a Dictionary is insane. He wants to make the world perfect place in his imagination because he's considered himself God, but he's not really. Come on, if he gets stabbed, he's not God. He's just a person, maybe an alien scientist, an alien, but he can be killed. But I like that that Rocket didn't kill him. That Rocket was like, I'm not gonna be a monster like him. I'm a Guardians of the Galaxy, which I liked. You know, despite the villain screaming and being over the top, I'm like, I don't mind. Villains do scream in movies sometimes. A lot of films are villains that scream, but that's because when they become unhinged or they start to lose, when the hero starts to win and the villain starts losing, the bad guy snaps, or the villainous woman, or any villain, whatever, starts screaming or getting mad. You know, as that movie, they can unhinge a little bit. You know, Mysterio yells at the end of Spider-Man 1, the climax of fighting Spider-Man. You know, like yelling, saying, "Oh, that's Spider!" When he screams. Yeah. But it's one of my favorite films in the MCU. I say it's good, even if you've been disappointing what MCU's doing after. This won't disappoint you. If you love the first Guardians films and you're a big fan of the Guardians like I am, these movies, this won't highly disappoint you. But there are problems now. My problems. Adam Warlock is a good character. Adam Warlock here, but he's very underdeveloped. I like the ending that he saved his life and that he becomes like part of the team, but they don't do much with him. He's kind of gets knocked out. He like passes out half the time, or he's just passed out, knocked out, locked up, or chained up, or whatever. He doesn't really have much to do anymore. He's just kind of here and there. If you're gonna make this character a big threat, at least do more with him. I felt like they should have done more in the running time. You could have, you know, there's some scenes you didn't really need to add in there. You could have maybe trimmed some stuff a little bit. You know, yeah. I mean that requires the flashbacks, which I don't mind. Maybe that's a bit of the don't cut the flashbacks out. No, the flashbacks I want them to keep in, but you can trim a little bit of stuff. You know, again, I'm not gonna do much because the story I'm invested in. This is like a swan song. This is the end. Last Guardians movie. To me, this is Last Guardians movie. I don't care. I don't want another fourth movie. And I didn't like the end credit scene though with Star Lord talking to his grandpa. They're just talking about whatever. I didn't care. Star Lord, I didn't care about that scene at all. Just didn't do nothing for me. I'm like, that was a waste. They could have just ended it with the Guardians pictures and that'd be it. You didn't need a post credit scene. But I know Marvel does that. I'm like, this one was kind of just pointless. You know, yeah, with Rocket just being with the new Guardians at the end and with their picture at the end credits, and that's it. And the soundtrack is good. I do prefer the soundtrack in the first two movies, but the soundtrack here is good. The songs are good. This is from 70s, 80s, 90s. They even have a song from 2000s in here at the end. And like I said, it feels like family. There's heart. This film has heart. And I didn't like more at the end. She was kind of an irritating bitch, half the time. And I hate that they made her the way she was, like the first movie. I'm like, but throughout the movie, though, she does redeem herself. She starts to become the Gamora from the first two movies. She becomes a bit of a better person. That she does have a heart. She starts going through more of that. So the movie, she does change a bit. That there's good in her. But yeah, the film's very entertaining. The visual effects, special effects are good. James Gunn did a good job directing and writing. Those are my only issues with the movie. And you could show the movie. The movie did not need to be 2 hours 30 minutes long. You didn't need those two post credit scenes at the end. Cut those out. You know, does the humor always work? No. There's one scene where we didn't need where Jack's trying to talk about, you know, trying to make Charlotte feel better, saying that his taking a dump is intelligent or whatever, something like that. I don't know. It was pretty stupid. So sometimes the humor doesn't always work, you know. And adding in the gay joke, like, okay, I thought it was funny, but like, you didn't need the gay joke in there. So some of the humor does not work fully, but it is entertaining though. It's entertaining enough. I don't think Quill needed to be with his dad at the end. I think he could have still ran with the cards. I get it. you want to see his grandpa, but maybe again, his grandfather would have probably passed away by then, would have eventually died. So it's kind of pointless to go see him anyway because he's like on hospice or whatever. He's got a woman watching him. He's got a nurse. So you think his grandfather by this point is getting real old. He's probably gonna pass away soon. He could just seen him and then that'd be it. Just visit him and that's it. Would I call it too brilliant to a brilliant trilogy? Yeah, I would. Not completely perfect though. I already mentioned my issues with the movie, but guys, my rating for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I love this movie. It's a satisfying ending, in my opinion. It's good enough. You don't need no Guardians 4, please. We don't need that. This ended it perfectly, in my opinion. Not completely perfectly, but good enough. What I'm trying to say. So my rating for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I'm gonna give this film 4 to 5 stars and a thumbs up. So my rating for the film again was 4 to 5 stars. So guys, tell me in the comments down below, what do you think of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3? And have you seen the previous two movies? And what do you think of them? And what do you think of these characters? Who's your favorite member of the Guardians? Mine's probably Groot, or mainly just Rocket. I like what they do with Rocket here. That was pretty good, giving him a backstory and stuff. But it was a very entertaining sequel. It was a satisfying ending. I'd say it's one of the, when I say it's one of the best films of the MCU, yes, in my opinion, it is. In my opinion, after Endgame, probably the best after Endgame so far. The best MCU film after Endgame, in my opinion. Second, I would say Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which I liked. It's good. I enjoyed that one too. Still me, but I like Guardians 3. Thought it was good. But I don't want a fourth movie. No more Guardians movies. This ended it perfectly. Just leave it as it is. Leave it long gun. Stick to your DC stuff. Uh, I'm sure DC and Warner Bros. Are going to need you more in their movies. So, unless somebody else makes a Guardians movie or like kind of a spinoff, maybe. I can see maybe a spinoff, you know, happening or a Groot and Rocket movie happening. I could see that. I would definitely watch it, yeah. But no Guardians movie. Just make it like a Rocket movie or something, like a Raccoon and Rocket and Groot kind of movie. I'll watch that. Yeah. But anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed my review of Volume 3. Now, my next review. Now, this one was made. These next two movies are in June. This is a sequel to the 2018 Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse movie. Again, with the voice cast coming back and stuff. This film came out in 2023, June 2023. And is a sequel, and that is my next review, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Yeah. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow, but I am working the next 2 days. But I definitely want to do a review on Saturday and Sunday, of course. Probably won't be doing a review tomorrow. Maybe Saturday. Maybe Saturday for this one. So I guess something I gotta do tomorrow. Not just work, but something else as well. So I may not be able to do a review on this as soon as possible, but probably Saturday for Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So this will be my next review. So stay tuned as my thoughts on the sequel to Spider-Man the Spider-Verse and what I think of it, in my opinion. So stay tuned for that. That'll be next, and it'll be this Saturday. So stay tuned for that, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Let me know in the opinion. How would you rank the MCU movies in your opinion? What are some of your favorite MCU movies, and what are your least favorite? What are some of your favorite films in the MCU franchise, or this MCU franchise? And what is your opinion on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and the previous two movies from the first one 2014 and the 2017 sequel, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2? What do you think of them in your opinion? And who's your favorite villain in the Guardians of the Galaxy movie? My favorite is Echo. Kurt Russell. To me, Kurt Russell's just the best. I'm sorry. Yeah, the villain here just screams way too much. The actor is good, but when he doesn't need to, when he's not screaming all the time, I'm like, you don't need to scream all the time. That's annoying. Regardless, though, it's still an entertaining movie with a lot of heart. It did have heart to it, you know, and it was emotional to watch. Yeah, at least the film, unlike The Love and Thunder, this film knows what it wants to be. And like Black Widow, which is not a Black Widow movie at all, does not feel like one. And Eternals, it didn't bore me. Black Widow just didn't know what it wanted to be. Eternals was just boring as heck. I hated that film, and I cared more about these characters than I did in the characters in Eternals. And that film was so boring. But anyway, let me know what you think about Guardians of the 3, guys, and stay tuned for my next review, which will be Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which will be next. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and bye-bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.